we will start on our backs. Just make sure she got it. So we're going to be taking it easy tonight. Low and slow is the theme. It's like giving ourselves a little self-massage for an entire hour. So let that be the intention here, to feel good. Oftentimes feeling good or taking care of ourselves is seen as selfish. It is not. I'm telling you, for this hour, no matter what you've heard, it's not selfish. So come to your back, lie right down, close the eyes. There's a little kitty. I think Broads can't see or smell that. And start to connect with the breath, maybe for the first time today. Noticing the inhale and the exhale. And we've taken this breath exercise, I think a few times before in my classes, but we're going to take it again today. We're going to think of something in our life that we could use a little bit more of. My go-to is trust. We're going to inhale, repeating that word, trust, patience, whatever it is. And as we exhale, I want you to exhale something, the sound of a word, of something that you can do without or do with less of in your life. So usually I pair control. I inhale trust and I exhale control. I start every morning doing this. It doesn't have to be a very long thing. I close my eyes and for a couple minutes I just repeat the words, inhaling trust and exhaling control. If those words fit for you tonight, feel free to take them. But if there's something else that you're feeling, I want you to take those words instead. Inhaling the positive, exhaling something that our world has probably deemed negative, likely something that you can do a little less of. With every exhale, notice that you're getting a little deeper on your mat. You're settling down. When you first lay down, you're there, you're flat on your back, but you might not be completely in contact. You might still be holding in places. Really let gravity take over. Inhaling and exhaling. And we're not gonna pair with any movement quite yet. We're gonna take tonight slow, but I want you to start moving that right hand towards the belly. Bringing the palm just over the belly button, maybe not all the way to the belly button. If it's not comfortable to reach the elbow there, I want the elbow to stay rested on the mat. But bring that right hand to the tummy, left hand to the heart, the chest. And as you inhale, that word, that positive that you can use a little bit more of in your life. Inhale. Fill and exhale. Release. Whatever it is, you can use a little bit less of. So Sheila and Lindsay, welcome. Here's the playlist link if you want it. You don't have to cue it up, but if you want to, you can. And then we're starting on our backs. So if our tummy and chest, if our hands are already there, I want you to imagine this like a circuit. So you're inhaling, and notice where your mind wants the breath to enter, either through the heart center or the belly. Follow the breath there to either the belly or the chest. And then as you exhale, feel it move up the arm, through the shoulders, and to the opposite arm, the opposite point of the body, either the belly or the chest, depending on where you started. I want you to inhale, imagining that breath like a circuit. Lindsay, I love the retro yoga mat. Inhale and exhale. I'm gonna reclaim my yoga mat. Looks like bro's moved. Oh, he's gone back. Come here, bud. So I want you to keep with this breath, inhaling and exhaling. Focusing on those two words, a positive that you're inhaling to, mine is trust. An exhale that you're releasing, mine is control. And use the contact between the heart center and the palm of the hand and the belly and the palm of the hand as a circuit, feeling it all surge through you from hand to hand. Notice that there's chatter in the mind. Oftentimes it's harder to sit still than it is to move on our mat. We'll take one more deep inhale, feeling the chest and the belly rise. And on our exhale, don't move your elbows. Let them continue to rest on the floor, but just bring the hands together to meet in the middle, about just above your belly button. Fold those hands together, clasp them together as if they're in prayer, and let the palms press down onto the ribs, the tummy area. Elbows are on the mat. As you inhale, you now feel the chest, the front body, the belly. You feel it rise at one point rather than two. And you feel it fall beneath the hands on your exhale. We're going to inhale. We're going to flip the palms of the hands towards the ceiling. Fingers are still interlaced. You reach the arms parallel to each other. Fingers interlace, palms towards the sky. From here, I want you to inhale. Reach those arms up overhead. Try to keep the shoulders drawing away from the ears. Reaching the palms up overhead. And then as we exhale, we'll sweep the palms up towards the ceiling and back down towards the belly. So we're taking those hands back to where we started. The palms are just below the ribs, elbows on the mat, fingers interlaced. We're going to take a couple of these. So inhale, press the palms up towards the ceiling, arms straighten. Release the hands up overhead, fingers still interlocked. Reach the hands, reach the palms, shoulders draw away from the ears. And then bring those hands back up over the face and bring the hands back down to the tummy. Fingers are interlaced the entire time, as if you're in prayer hands, but the palms are pulling apart. Inhale, press the palms towards the ceiling, arms straighten. Reach up overhead, getting some rotation in the shoulders here. Then bring the palms back up towards the sky and release the palms down to the belly again. Fingers are interlaced. This time we're going to inhale, reach those palms up overhead. Reach the hands up tall, shoulders draw away from the ears, palms pressing away from the crown of the head. And then sweep those arms up over the face, but this time we're going to draw the left knee in towards the chest and clasp our hands on the top of that left shin. If you don't have to release the hands to get the hands there, that's good. Just keep them in that loop with the fingers interlaced. So here we're pressing that knee up towards the chin, pulling it up, and then exhale, we're going to compress over to the left side when removing pose. I like to take this at the end of the day, especially if I've already eaten dinner. It's really good for digestion. The compression of the stomach, the intestines, all in that left side. You can roll out that left foot. You can roll that foot in, taking some movement in the ankle. Keeping active in the arms as if there's newspapers between the sides of the body and your arms. That's what's giving you that pull up and over towards the left armpit. Now, we're gonna bring that left knee back in towards the chest. Fingers are still interlaced on the top of that left shin. I want you to keep that left knee tucking in towards the chin. We're gonna release those hands, keep them interlaced at the fingers, press the palms up over the face like we did before, and then press the palms up overhead, shoulders drawing away from the ears. That left knee is staying tucked in to the left chest. Now we're gonna take an exhale. Bring those hands to the top of that left knee. Pull that knee a little deeper up towards the chin. Keep that there. Activate through the abdomen. Try to hold that depth with just the abdomen and the hip flexor strength by flexing those left toes towards the left shin and reach those palms up towards the ceiling again. Fingers are interlaced. Reach them up overhead and take them back to the knee. Pull that knee a little bit further up. We're not splaying it out to the side this time. It's just pulling up towards the chin. And then from here, we're gonna cross that right hand to the outside of the left leg and pull it over into a twist. Now we're just warming up into the spine here, so I don't want you to take the neck too far. So keep that gaze up towards the ceiling for now. The left hand is out into a T. Right hand is on the outside of the left leg. You might feel a little stiff here in our first twist, so be gentle with yourself. Keep that breath moving. Bend at the left knee. Bring the left toes back to tap the right knee and bring that left knee back up, coming back to a flat back. Hands are apart now. We're gonna bring the sole of that left foot down to the mat. We're gonna reach the right heel up towards the ceiling. And really into these active hamstring stretches. You should really feel a stretch in the back of your right leg here already, even though we're not using our hands. So we're just pressing that right heel up towards the sky. Left toe or right toes pulling towards the hip. And you want to make sure that the left and right hips on the low back are in contact with the mat equally. So reach that heel. Hands can be just by our sides. Keep that abdomen active. Imagine that corset around the ribs, pulling the ribs together. Abdomen super engaged. And then release that right foot all the way down to meet the left. Wag those knees left and right. Knees are bent up, soles of the feet are flat to the mat. Feel a release in that low back. It should feel very therapeutic to let those knees just flap from one side to the other. And then from here, we're gonna bring those knees back up towards the sky, release the left foot flat, release the left leg all the way down so the right foot stays in towards, the right foot stays on the sole of the foot to the mat. From here, we're gonna tuck that right knee in towards the chest. We're gonna clasp those hands on top of the right shin. Inhale, draw that knee towards the chin, and exhale, draw it over to the right side. So again, we're taking when removing pose, but on the other side this time. We want to find that compression in the right hip. Activation through the arms. We're inhaling that knee towards the chin and then exhaling, compressing it slightly over to the right armpit. Every breath brings you a little deeper. Maybe roll out that ankle or roll it in. Take whatever direction is comfortable. Maybe both. Now bring that knee back towards center. Keep that knee pulling in towards the chin. Activate the abdomen. Feel the right toes. Flex up towards the right shin to keep that knee where it is. So when you pull the hands up and off of the leg, fingers stay interlaced, palms reach towards the sky, up and over, reach up overhead, shoulders draw away from the ears. Keep that right knee really active into the chest. Now we're gonna bring the hands back to that right knee. Pull it in a little bit closer. Try not to let the engagement completely wash away when you bring your hands there. Keep the engagement, but see if you can bring your leg a little bit deeper with your hands there. Then activate even deeper into the core, the hip flexor. Flex the toes, and then reach those hands up, palms towards the sky. Rotating through the shoulders, palms reach up overhead, shoulders draw away from the ears. And exhale, bring those hands back to the knee. Pull it in a little bit deeper. Good, you should really feel that hip flexor waking up. From here, we're gonna take that twist. So bring the left hand to the outside of the right leg, the right knee. That right arm comes out into a twist. Be gentle here, gaze stays up towards the sky. We don't want to over twist the neck too soon. Do notice if that right shoulder is peeled up off of the mat. If it is, we want to bring it back down, especially for our first twist. We don't want to go too deep here. We don't want to torque too much. Continue to breathe. And then we'll bend that right knee. So the right toes tap the left knee. And we're gonna rotate back up to a flat back. Bring that right sole of the foot flat to the mat. Good. And then we're gonna reach that left leg all the way towards the sky, left heel up towards the sky. Now if you feel that left, like the low back of the left side peel up, try to really anchor that left hip back down by really activating into the abdomen. Pressing that heel actively towards the sky, getting a nice stretch there. Keep pressing. Imagine someone pulling the heel towards the ceiling, but someone is also simultaneously pressing the toes down towards the left hip. Ankle is stacked right over the hip. Keep the back flat on the mat. Lots of activation happening here. And then release that left leg to come down. Left foot meets right, and we sway those legs, left and right. Again, after all that activation in the hip flexors, the abdomen, this should feel really good. Releasing what we did. If it doesn't feel really good, maybe extend your feet a little further away from the hips. Do something to make sure that you're feeling really good in your body with everything you take tonight. And the knees are gonna come back up towards the ceiling. We're gonna reach those hands up overhead, reach the feet long on the mat. So we're coming to an extended Shavasana almost. So hands are overhead in our Shavasana. We're gonna engage through the abdomen, and I want you to take this transition really slowly as you possibly can. Imagine tucking the chin to the chest, and then slowly tucking the vertebrae into a C, pulling yourself up into a seated position, one vertebrae at a time. Come up as slow as you possibly can. And once you come up, if you have to help yourself with your hands, that is okay. There's no shame in that. Once you curl all the way up and over, we're going to come into a seated forward fold. So notice how my sternum is pulling towards my toes rather than just curving over here. I'm pulling actively so there's length in my spine. Now you might not be able to touch your feet. You might just be able to touch your thighs or your shins, your ankles, wherever that comes with your hands. Again, that is okay where your body is at. Maybe walk out those legs a little bit here in your forward fold, patting one calf down and then the other, kind of like walking out our down dog, but with legs out in front of you. Now as we inhale, we're going to roll all the way up vertebrae by vertebrae. Bring that right foot in. Next to the left thigh. Now here, you're going to have to start by using your hands to bring that leg in. Get really tall, tuck the chest into the thigh, crown of the head pulls away from the hips. Those arms are really active into the sides. Now, I want you to imagine drilling all of this engagement in your arms down through the right foot. So imagine someone drilling right down through that right ankle. I want you to ground down underneath the triangles of the feet, press under that right foot, and then take your hands away. Notice that by grounding down, you can take your hands away and not budge in your upper body. From there, I want you to twist that left hand around the right knee, take that right hand behind the sacrum, behind the hips, and take it into a gentle twist over to the right side. Gaze can start to sway over that right shoulder very gently. And like I've said in some of my other classes when we've worked on twists, I want 80% of it changes a little bit depending on the class, but I want most of the work here, 80% of the work in your twist being done from your abdomen, your core. Activation in the twist. The rest of the 20% is your hands. I don't want you to just torque with your hands. I don't want you to forget about the activation in your core. It's super important here. From here, we'll release that right hand, come back forward. We're going to open up this right knee. So just kind of let it drop open. Bring the right sole of the foot into the left. We're going to inhale those arms up overhead, framing that left foot. Drop that right hand behind the right hip. Press those hips up. Left foot comes down. Inner sole of that foot presses down. And then we're reaching those hips up and forward. Getting a really nice stretch in this left side here. We're reaching the left fingers away from the left toes. And then we're going to come back down. Inhale up. Frame that left foot. Pull the left toes towards the hip. And then fold over. Sternum pulling towards the toes. Hands come to shin, ankle, wherever they can come. Now we're going to take that in flow. So we're going to inhale. Come all the way up, arms extend overhead, getting that shoulder rotation here. Place that right hip down. Rotate the left foot to the inner sole. Press those hips up. Reach the left fingertips away from the left foot. And come back down, hips down. Arm sweeps up to meet the left. And we stretch over that left leg. Sternum pulling towards the toes. Inhale. Every movement really intentional here. Arms up, shoulders down away from the ears. Right arm drops. Sweep that left arm up. Reach the fingers away from the left toes that come down to the mat. Press those hips up away from the mat. And then bring it back down. Sweep that right arm up and come down. Now we're taking these things a little slower. So I want you to really feel into every part of the movement. I want it to feel really good in every piece along the way. So we're going to inhale back up this time. Bring this left foot in front of the right. Even if this isn't your favorite side, this is not, if you can't see, my knee is like a foot higher than my right. This isn't my favorite side, but I want you to stay there. Even if it's a little uncomfortable, no pain. If it's painful, please find an alternative with the other leg. But if it's just uncomfortable because you don't normally take that side, stay there. We're gonna work on it. We're gonna walk those hands forward. Hips stay on the mat. The second they start to peel up, that's when we know we've gone a little too far. So we want those hips on the mat and fingertips creeping forward. Now I like to use my breath here, especially in holds that are a little bit longer. So as you inhale, imagine creating space, kind of cleaning things out. Exhale, inch those fingers just a tiny bit more forward. Inhale, get long, create space. And exhale, move into that space, inching those fingers forward. It might not seem like you're moving a whole lot, but when you hold for 5 to 10 breaths like that, where you're moving consistently into it a little bit, you realize that you actually moved quite a bit from where you thought was your limit to where you came after you breathed through it. Feel this opening up that left hip, depending on how tight you are. Some people don't feel this stretch, that's okay. It's definitely one of the louder ones for me. We're gonna walk those hands back in towards the feet. Take the hands behind the hips, press that chest forward, shoulders down. Imagine someone kicking between the shoulder blades, pressing that heart center forward. And we're gonna open those feet a little wider than mat width distance, a little wider than hip width distance, and sway those legs left and right. These sways are really good neutralizers, especially when you're working in the hips. So from here, we're gonna bring those feet back out into a seated forward fold. Take that seated forward fold, how we came up from lying down, pull the sternum towards the toes. Maybe feel a little bit more welcome here. Maybe not quite yet. We're getting there, warming up. And then imagine stacking the vertebrae from the tailbone all the way up to the shoulders, the neck, the head. We're gonna pull that left sole of the foot in. We're gonna pull the knee towards the chest to start taking this activation. So again, I want you to get those hands on the top of that left shin. Pull the arms in close to the sides. There isn't a whole lot of weight in that left foot yet. We're doing most of the work with our arms and our chest pulling into that leg. From here, I want you to imagine drilling through this left knee, down through the heel, through the left foot, drilling into the mat. You're gonna feel that activate through the abdomen, and those hands are gonna float away, and you're not gonna budge. So then I want you to take that right arm, twist it around the left knee, and left hand behind you between the hips. And we're twisting over to the left side. Once you twist, don't just relax into this. I want you to keep that activation pressing through that left sole of the foot. Keep it active. Keep the engagement in the core. Maybe gaze over that left shoulder a little bit. And we'll slowly begin to untwist. Come back around towards the front of the mat. Let the left knee just splay open. Left sole of the foot comes to the inner right thigh. That left hand presses down behind the left hip. Sweep that right arm up. The right foot twists down, comes into contact with the mat. Press those hips up. Reach the right fingertips away from the right foot, getting a stretch in the right side, the right hip. Then we're gonna exhale, come down, sweep those arms up. Frame that right foot and come down, taking a half leg or a half seated forward fold, seated tree. Pull the sternum towards the toes, toes towards the hip. You should really feel an active stretch in the back of that right leg. We're gonna inhale, sweep up. Take that left arm down, sweep that right arm up and away from the right foot. Press the hips away. Keep that spine long. We want length through the crown of the head, even when we're taking funky positions like this. We don't want to crunch in the low back. Then exhale, sweep it down. Take those arms up. And exhale, frame that foot. Pull ourselves down on the leg, wherever is comfortable. Good. Last time, inhale, sweep up. Left hand down, right arm up and away from that foot. Place the right sole of that foot down. Stretch up and away. And release. Come all the way down. Sweep arms up and frame. Coming over that right leg. Again, sternum pulling forward. And as we peel ourselves up vertebrae by vertebrae, we're tucking this right foot in front of the left. Good news, if the other side was the one that you don't like, we're on to the good side now. So inhale, crown of the head over the tailbone. Inhale, arms up. And exhale, come forward. Reach those arms forward. Sits bones stay in contact with the mat. Try not to let the shoulders creep up too close to the ears. They naturally want to, especially if we're tight here and we're kind of rounded through the back. Keep those shoulders open. Might not feel like they're actually opening if you're saying like, I'm pulling them away. They might not seem open, but it's the thought that counts. Eventually the idea will become action and movement. So again, use that inhale to find space. Exhale to walk those hands into it, even if it's half of a centimeter each time. Every exhale is going to help you release a little deeper here. And you feel like you've hit an edge, you can't go any further. Take one last inhale. Exhale, inch those fingers just a little bit further. And then we'll walk those hands in. Take those hands behind the hips. Open up the legs. Sway those legs left and right. From our bear squat. Then we're gonna inch those feet together, heel toe, coming back through center. Hands, I like to transition from here into forward fold by pressing those hands by my hips, coming onto my feet up and over. Now, if that's not there for you, you can bring those legs together and come up and step into your forward fold. Really take whatever transition there you need in order to come into your forward fold. If it's not graceful, that's okay. There's no judgment here. You're on your mat practicing for yourself. That's what matters. So once we're in our forward fold, we're towards the top of our mat. I want you to bring most of the weight from the ball of the big toe forward into the toes. So those heels, if you moved just a little bit more, would float right up off of the mat. Knees are bent here, so the abdomen and thighs are connected. Shoulder, head, neck, they're all released, hanging heavy from the hips. Feel the traction of the spine being pulled by the weight of the head. Really enjoying this forward fold here. And from here, I want you to take a half lift so the weight stays in the toes. eyes of the shoulder come away from the hips. So the very, very tops of the shoulders pull away from the hips. Parallel chest and floor. Abdomen is super engaged. Imagine the corset around the ribs, pulling the ribs together. And we're gonna exhale. Bring those hands back down to the mat. We're gonna step this right foot up and back. So when you kick it back, try to pull with the glute. The heel lifts towards the sky, hands on the mat, and then we're gonna press it back into a low lunge. I want you to really notice your alignment here before we drop that back knee. Make sure that the left knee is stacked right over the left ankle. The right heel is stacked right on top of the right toes. Then drop that right knee. I sound like a broken record technique because I say the same things in class, but once I say them enough, you'll really click and your form will be rock solid. So we're gonna bring those hands up overhead. Shoulders draw away from the ears. Imagine that belt pulling the hips forward and down rather than just drilling straight down through that hip. Inhale and exhale. Now, if you have some kind of prop, you can take it here. If not, you can just take this left hand to the left hip, or you can take the left fingertips to the floor, whatever is there for you. I want you to reach that right arm up and over, getting a really dramatic stretch here in the right hip, the right side body. If you don't have that prop, again, just take the left hand to the left hip, getting a little support here. Come back up on your inhale. Drop that left hand beneath that right hand beneath the right shoulder. Tuck the back toes. Press the heel away to lift the back knee. And inhale, sweep that left arm up towards the sky, coming into a very gentle twist in our lunge here. The weight of that leg in the back being lifted should help stretch into the right hip. And we'll bring that left hand down, tuck that right knee again, bring it down to the mat, and bring our hips back towards the right heel, stretching into the back of that left leg. Now let the left heel come down, left toes come up, pulling back towards the left hip, getting again a stretch in the back of that left leg. Inhale, length through the spine, exhale, come a little deeper. Sternum still pulling towards those toes. We're gonna take a flow here between lunge and half split. So inhale, pull heart center forward. Hands can try to stay in one spot if you'd like, or they can move along the way with you. But as we inhale, heart center draws forward, shoulders draw back and down. Then as we exhale, we're gonna come back into that half split. Left toes lift, pull back towards the hip. Get the stretch in the back of that left leg. I want you to move with your breath here. Inhale forward. And exhale back. Inhale forward. And exhale back. Taking a couple more of these. I want you to really feel into your body. Think about what we did when we were in our seated forward fold with our knees bent in. With every inhale, we found a little bit more space, and every exhale, we inched ourselves a little bit deeper. See if you can do the same here. Using the breath, go a little deeper on each end every time you come into it. Between lunge and half split. The leg doesn't have to straighten in half split. The hip doesn't have to come directly towards the mat in our lunge. It's relative to where your body is at and what you're feeling. Good, so we'll come forward. Come back into that low lunge. Plant the palms beneath the shoulders. Tuck the back toes, press the heel away. Dome through those shoulders. So notice how right here I'm not doming. Here I'm doming. So I can tuck that left knee into the chest and step it back to a down dog. By doming through the shoulders first, I create space to come into that plank with that leg tucked in. Breathe. Pat out the dog. Maybe lift that left leg up. Behind you, take a scorpion to take a counter for all of that compression that just happened in the hip. Left hip stacks on top of right. Right heel grounds down through gravity. And we can bring that left foot back down to meet the right in our down dog. We're gonna look forward towards our hands and slowly walk those feet towards our hands for our forward fold. See how deep you can keep your hands on the mat by really activating into the abdomen, tucking the legs under. Eventually bending at the knees, bringing the abdomen and thighs together, head, neck, shoulders, release. From here, we're again gonna take a half lift. So inhale, pull the shoulders away from the hips, parallel to the mat, your chest stacks. Imagine someone pulling the crown of the head away from the tailbone. Someone can place a tray on your back. Squeeze in the toes. Exhale, plant the palms. This time we're gonna lift the left heel up, hands on the mat, knee is bent enough of that right knee to let the hands come down. Left heel lifts up, and then we press it back, coming to a line for our low lunge on the other side. Right knee stacked right over right ankle, left toes right under left heel, and then the knee drops. You should feel really good, also countering all of the compression we just did on the other side. From here, untuck the toes, inhale, arms rise, biceps away, biceps by ears, shoulders drawing away from the ears. Hips pulling forward and down. And rather than just relying on flexibility here, I want you to really ground down under that right heel. You know that that grounded feeling that we felt when we were in that twist, with our leg out straight, the leg into the chest. We grounded down under that heel. I want that same groundedness in the right heel here, and it's gonna help activate into that right glute. And from here, release those hands. Actually, I'm sorry, I have a stretch to the side that I forgot. Keep those hands all the way up. Right hand to the hip. Right hand to a block or prop, or right hand to the floor. Reach that left arm up and over, get that stretch in the left side. This is one of my favorites that I love, but I hate. Inhale and exhale. Good. Inhale, back up. Hands overhead, shoulders down, away from the ears. Exhale, plant those palms. Tuck the left back toe, press the heel away. Left hand beneath the left shoulder. Inhale, right arm up. Come into your twist. Left shoulder pulling back down towards the left hip. And then we'll bring that right hand back down, lower the left knee, and take it back into a half split. Hips pull towards the left heel. Right heel is on contact with the mat. Right toes are pulling back towards the right hip. And we're gonna inhale forward, come back towards our low lunge. We're gonna open that chest forward, shoulders down and back. We're gonna take that flow between the two. So we're gonna exhale, come back, Inhale, come forward. Exhale, back. And inhale, forward. I want you to take this with your breath at your own pace. Oftentimes when the instructor says that is when you tune out, but I challenge you to really sit with your breath here. Explore what you're feeling. Try to go a little deeper each time that you breathe. Good. The next time we come towards that low lunge at the top of the mat, keep that heart center pushing through, shoulders drawing down. Press those hands down into the mat, framing that right foot, tuck the back toe, press the left heel away to lift that left knee, dome through the shoulders, tuck that right foot into the chest, and step that right foot back to our down dog. If you want to open up that right hip, you can, lifting that right leg up and scorpion that leg, stacking the right hip on top of the left. Keep gravity drawing that left heel down. And then float that right heel back down, right foot back down to meet the left in our down dog. We're gonna walk those hands back towards the toes this time, having a forward fold at the back of the mat. Head, neck, shoulders release. Knees are bent. Head is tracking away from the sits bones in our forward fold. Bend at those knees. Be really dramatic here, rippling all the way up, vertebrae by vertebrae. Coming to stand, imagine 20-pound weights in each hand, getting heavier as you lift. Shoulders stack over hips. Inhale those arms all the way up overhead, and exhale, hands to heart center. We're gonna take a slow-mo flow on each side before we come down to our mat. So we're gonna take those hands wide. Inhale that left knee up. That same activation that we had at the beginning of class when we were pulling that knee into the chest when we were on our backs. We're gonna kick that left foot over and down into our low lunge, or our high lunge, I'm sorry. So we're stepping as if we're just taking one big step. And then inhale, arms up overhead. Twist that back foot down, parallel with the back of the mat. Left heel is in line with the right sole of the foot. Arms open up. Warrior two. Shoulders are stacked on top of hips. Then we're gonna straighten through that left leg, take the right hand to the right leg, sweep that left arm up and over, peaceful triangle. Nothing too crazy here in the legs. We're getting some movement while on our feet. Getting stretched in that left side body. From here, bend into that left knee. Windmill, those arms down, frame that left foot. Spin the back foot down so you come to the toes of the right foot. Dome through those shoulders again. Tuck the left knee into the chest. Step it back to a down dog. If you want a little bit more heat, there's an option here to take a flow of vinyasa. You can ripple to plank, take your chaturanga, come to up dog, and come to down dog. If you don't want that, there's no need to take it. We're gonna walk those hands back towards the toes from our down dog, whether you took the flow or not. Head, neck, shoulders pulling away from the hips, bent at the knees. And start by tucking the pelvis slightly, rippling all the way up vertebrae by vertebrae. Sweep those arms up overhead. And exhale, hands to heart center. Hands come by our sides again. Pull the right knee into the chest this time. Like you're stepping over a really big ball or a tree trunk. You're gonna lift that right foot up and overlanding gently in our high lunge. Arms rise. Then we're gonna twist that left foot back down into our warrior two. Left sole of the foot is parallel with the back of the mat. The right heel is in line with the sole of the left foot. Hands open wide, shoulders stacked over hips. Warrior two. From here, press into the right heel, pressing, straightening through that right leg. Left hand down, right arm up and back, peaceful triangle. Getting a stretch in that right side. Try not to passively just rest here. Really press into the feet, pressing up and away from the mat. Then we're going to bend into that right leg. Windmill those arms. Hands framing that right foot. Dome through the shoulders. Tuck that right foot into the chest and step it back, down dog. Again, if you want that flow, if you want a little bit more heat, you can ripple the plank and come right back to down dog. You can take a full chaturanga. I'm not going to guide it myself, but if you want it and it's in your practice, feel free to take it. From here, we're going to lower those knees. Take the mat with distance. Child's pose, pull the hips back towards the heels. Fingers reach towards the top of the mat. Imagine someone pulling the hips back and the fingers forward simultaneously, getting a stretch in the side obliques here. I never thought of child's pose as a stretch for the obliques. But recently I've discovered it to be one where you really work on the length between the fingers and the hips. Forehead flat to the mat. You can rock it left and right. And we'll slowly walk those hands in towards the knees. Let the head stay down. Just bring the hands towards the knees. Then press through the hands, letting the head stay heavy. Last thing to rise. Stack the head on the shoulders. And we're going to take it into a hero. If you want to take it with your feet wider than your hips, you can. Only if that doesn't bother your knees. If not, just keep your heels beneath your butt. And you're going to walk your hands back behind you. This is if you don't want to take those heels wide. You're going to get a pretty good stretch here just by walking those hands back if you're tight in the quads and the hip flexors. If you want to take it a little bit deeper, you can take those hips between the heels, only if there's no pain in the knees. I don't want you to have any pain in those knees. You can walk those hands back. You can come to your forearms. And if there is even more space, you can come all the way down to your mat into a reclined hero. Again, don't push your body beyond which level or phase it's at in its flexibility and strength. These are all just options. Wherever you are, I want you to breathe. Again, this is supposed to be a really feel-good class. So if what you're doing right now is like, doesn't really feel good, adjust it. Make sure that it does for the last few moments here. Now, if you're all the way down on your back in a reclined hero, I want you to keep that neck tucked into the chest. I don't want you to strain, letting that neck all the way back as you come up. Tuck that chin to the chest, press to the forearms and then the hands, chin to the chest, coming all the way back up. And then you can let those feet come forward. Either scoot those feet out from underneath your butt to one side and kick them forward, or just bring them forward. Again, it doesn't have to be graceful. And the feet reach forward, and we're going to take it to one more seated forward fold. I always love feeling how much looser I am at the end of my practice versus when I start. So notice that. Maybe it's not a whole lot looser. Maybe you just feel a little bit more welcome. Maybe you're breathing easier. It can be very, very subtle differences before and after. And we'll ripple back up. Shoulder stack over hips. Scoot those hips, step butt a little bit forward. Hands behind the legs. Rock on the spine. My favorite transition. A very nice self-massage for all the little muscles of the spine. And then come all the way to a flat back. Tuck the knees into the chest. And circle them out. Bring the left sole of the foot flat to the mat. Reach the right heel up towards the sky. Maybe take the hands to the legs somewhere where you feel it's comfortable to pull that right shin closer to the face or up overhead. We're not pulling the hip back into its socket here. We're pulling up towards our face, towards like where our forehead is. Then we'll release, bend into that right knee, bring it towards the right armpit, take the right hand to the outside sole of that right foot. Come into half happy baby. The left sole of the foot just kind of leans open to the left. So your left leg is open in kind of like a diamond shape, and the right leg is in a half happy baby. If you can't take half happy baby with your right hand to your right foot, you can take it to your ankle or your shin or even behind the back of the right leg. Take whatever variation you can find in your body tonight comfortably. Left leg is in half Supta Baddha Konasana, diamond shape. Bring that right heel to the right butt. Keep that left leg exactly where it is. Extend that right leg long so you're kind of in a tree here with your legs, where you're with your chest down and your hands up overhead. Then bring that right foot to meet the left sole of the foot. Diamond shape in the legs. Hands come back up over the face. And then let them come back down to the belly, where we started our class. Elbows on either side, hands clasped right on the belly. We're going to take that on the other side before we rest here. Hands open up, come wide, as if they're in Shavasana arms, palms face up. We're going to bring the soles of the feet flat down to the mat so the knees swing up towards each other, towards center. And we're going to lift that left leg. Left heel pulls towards the sky. Hands pull behind that leg somewhere comfortably. Thigh, calf, ankle, or foot. And again, we're pulling that leg up towards the forehead rather than jamming it back into the hip socket. Inhale and exhale. And I want you to start to bend into that left knee. Bring the left hand to the outside sole of that left foot, coming into a half happy baby. Again, hand can come to ankle, shin, behind the left leg. It doesn't have to come to the outside sole of that left foot. Let the right leg just sway open to the right, coming into that half diamond shape. Maybe take that right hand to the right hip, making sure that both hips are even to the mat. Funky position here, but it's really good for opening up the hips. And I want you to keep that right leg exactly where it is. Let the left heel come to the left butt. Extend that left leg long. Coming into that seated tree position, but with our back down. Hands reach up overhead. Fingers interlaced, palms reaching up. Shoulders reaching away from the ears. And then inhale, bring those palms up over the face, palms reaching towards the ceiling. Fingers interlaced, draw the left sole of the foot in to meet the right sole of the foot, and bring the hands back down to the tummy. Now, if you want to stay here in Shavasana with the feet together, soles of the feet together in our Supta Baddha Konasana diamond shape in our legs, you're welcome to stay here. If you want to open up, hands wide and feet long and wide, feel free to do that. I'm going to rest here with my hands on my tummy, with my feet, soles of my feet together, my knees spread wide. This is going to be our final pose for the evening. Getting heavy with our breath. Starting back, or coming back to where we started. I haven't used this one in a while, but one of my favorite analogies of a yoga class, or anything in life for that matter, is a snow globe. You have your snow globe, it's settled at the beginning of class. Then through class, all the movement, all the breath shakes it right up. And then when you come back to your Shavasana, it comes back, it's the same snow globe. However, nothing in it settles the same twice. It always settles differently. Even one speck settles just a little bit differently. And then you consider all the little specks in there. Settle differently. There's always something to gain from your class that you take. There's always something to gain by practicing self-care for even a moment. If your knees are out wide, you can take your hands to the outside of the thighs and gently guide them in. So the knees are bent up, soles of the feet are flat to the mat. If you're in a Shavasana, you can just tuck those knees up and over to the right side, coming into fetal position on the right. If your knees are bent up, I invite you to come to that fetal position by tipping over to your right side. The right arm pillows head on the right side. And feel the simplicity of this moment with you, your breath on your mat, nothing else. We'll take that left hand, press it down into the mat. Keep those eyes closed. I won't lead you astray here. Doesn't matter if you're perfectly centered on your mat. Keep those eyes closed, come to an easy seat. Find the sits bones on the mat. Shoulders drawing away from the ears and stacked perfectly over those hips. We'll sweep those arms up overhead and exhale, hands to heart center. Feel those thumbs brush against the heart center. Gently, briefly That's your reminder that this practice, that this movement, this relaxation, this calm goes with you wherever you go. It's just a matter of coming into that state. It's often best done together. Thank you so much for practicing with me. We'll take one communal breath to close out practice. Exhale any stale energy, breath out. Inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth. Namaste. Thank you. Thank you so much. And I hope that you all sleep well. I'm sorry I went a few minutes over. I hope that no one has to be to work at 8:05 p.m. So, any questions, please let me know. I'm always here.
That was a perfect class, Anna. Thank you.
Hey, I'm so glad. Have a good night. Sleep well, everyone.
Sleep well. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.